Hello my colouring friends, I'm Liv, Colouring with Liv, and this is part 4, the final part of this little mini series that I've been working on in Small Victories in Johanna Basford's book. So it's the teapot page or kettle page or however you'd like to call it. So I've been working in the French version, but you can grab your copy of Small Victories and colour along with me. So I'm starting off with 154 in light cobalt turquoise, and I'm creating a nice base, so just a light layer of colour, and I'm kind of going back and forth and focusing more on the bottom of the teapot, because later on we'll just leave that middle top part of the teapot not blank coloured in, but we want to create a highlight or a glow in that area. So we'll also be bringing in some Cobalt Green and Helio Turquoise as well, just to kind of make that turquoise stand out a bit. And because it's a teapot or a kettle, I thought that the water would be boiling inside of it. So I wanted to create like some bubbles of water, so you could see like the kettle is boiling. So with harder pressure, I made some lines just to almost create my own illustration to add to this illustration. So I just, with harder pressure, just added that with Cobalt Green. So I was thinking of doing this in a different colour, but I wanted it to be more subtle and not distract against what everything else was going on in that illustration, because it was quite busy enough as it was, and I think it was nice to have a little subtle details. And then you can have like little bits of bubbles of steam as well. So there are some little circles and bubbles that Johanna added in, but I decided to add a few more, and it kind of already gives it a little bit of colour without actually worrying about blending it at this point. And then as I was trying to follow what Kira had done on her colouring page, on her version of the teapot page, I noticed that there was a little bit of yellow tint to the blue. So that's why I decided to add a little bit of the light chrome yellow, and I just lightly coloured over that area. But then as I was using that light cobalt turquoise colour, I realised that maybe the light cobalt turquoise has a little bit of yellow pigment inside of that. So maybe that's what I was seeing, but I just tried to kind of copy what I was seeing. So maybe the brightness of the glow came with a little bit of a yellowish tint as well, because the white can only do so much. And later on I did add some white dots of white Posca and yellow Posca, just little dots in that area as well to kind of brighten it up. So now I'm just going over the blue with some more cobalt green to deepen that turquoise colour, because when I left it aside I felt like, oh, it doesn't feel deep enough in colour, so maybe I'll go over it again. And I wasn't just doing it deeper on colour from the bottom, but I also wanted to focus on the sides of that teapot or kettle to try and create more of a glow. So at this point the blend seems a little bit flat, so that's why I decided to add some of the darker colours on the edges, so on the sides as well as towards the bottom. And then when I was doing the teacups, I just left that middle section more blank, so I didn't try to colour it so much. So I think that the teacups turned out a lot better than the kettle, but I think I kind of got away with it with the kettle because you know, just how a kettle boils, and with all the water and steam and everything, it goes, the steam rises to the top anyway, so I don't know. But it just shows that with a bit of practice, like from the first time I'm trying this in the teapot and then moving on to the teacups, that it got better slowly as I practice this kind of using the turquoise colour combo and trying to create that glow effect that I've been seeing. So now moving on to the steam, I decided to use Cobalt Green instead of the light Cobalt Turquoise because I felt like I was just going to use a light layer. So I wanted that pigment to really kind of get in there a lot quicker. So I thought that was a little bit of a hack, seeing as I was struggling using the light Cobalt Turquoise colour. So I thought it would be easier to do it this way. And then I can just blend it out with the light Cobalt Turquoise. And when I added the Posca highlights, at first I was going to cover up the whole of that black lines, but then I decided actually you can see the spots. So I kind of covered like half of it, so it's not fully covered, but only like partially. And then I couldn't decide whether I should put a bit of yellow Posca around the stars, so I just left them how it is so that you could actually see that illustration. Then I felt like the blue or turquoise colour in the teapot wasn't blue enough still. So even though I already started my highlights on the glass teapot, I still ended up adding a little bit more colour in. And I went right up to the edge of that white line. So it's almost like I drew another line right next to it. So you would really see those white highlights pop a little bit more. So once I deepened that turquoise colour, it made you look at those highlights even more because of the contrast there. So when I was doing these teapots, I was more aware of leaving that white space for that glow and highlight. And I felt like the last and final teacup, third image, so the first one was the teapot, the second teacup, and this third teacup was like the best how it turned out. I guess it was just practice. The more I did it, the more I felt like I had an idea of where my shadows and highlights would be at this particular point, and leaving more space for a highlight just gave it a little bit more of a glow effect to it. So I was quite happy with that. Now moving on to the pebbles or stones inside one of the teacups. I decided to use a mixture of warm greys, starting off with the lightest warm grey, and I put the lightest colour sort of towards the top of those pebbles or stones, because that's where the light would be catching, and I would focus my attention on putting the shadow sort of on the right hand corner. But then as I was colouring this, I decided, well, it's not just going to be grey, it's going to be underwater. So I thought I needed a little bit of that blue water turquoise colour that I was using, and just sort of lightly put that colour over the top of it. But I also decided that it could be part of the shadow colour as well. So I used some of almost like a mid turquoise colour on the left hand bottom part of the stone, and then a deeper, darker turquoise colour on the right hand side of that stone. So it would look like it had more shape. So it's not just, you know, one light side, one dark side, but it's a round object. So I guess you would have to have like a light, mid and darker shadow area to kind of give it a little bit more shape, if that makes sense. So if you like this video or found it helpful or just like the colouring, make sure you give it a like, a subscribe, a thumbs up, everything. And I hope to see you soon again. Alright guys, take care. Thanks so much for watching. Enjoy the rest of the video. So this has been the last and final part 4. If you want to check out the other parts of this video, make sure to do that. And there's also a time lapse of this, so if you enjoy these kind of videos, let me know. Alright guys, thanks for watching. Bye.